So, this video is about the biggest lesson that I've learned in 2025. And so, over the past several months, I've been working on a leadership program. And this leadership program has challenged me in so many different ways. And so, love without leadership equals loss. And so, how I realized that is that in one day I was working with the leader and I realized that there was some resistance there, and I'm like, what is this? Because I'm committed to the movement, I'm committed to the mission, but there's there's something there. And so, me being who I am, I'm looking. And what I realized is this right here: your relationship with leadership doesn't start when you're an adult. I saw that my relationship to leadership started with the first leaders in my life. And the first leaders in my life was my mom and my dad. And so my mom dealt with mental illness. She was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And so for me, her leadership was inconsistent, unstable, not really dependable. And then my dad wasn't there, so his leadership was invisible, disappearing. Um, for a long time, I called it abandonment. And so that was the relationship that I had to leadership. And I didn't even realize it. And so anytime I would get around anybody that was in a leadership position, it like my body would react because there was just this fear and resistance. And now I know what it is, but back then I didn't know. And so then I realized, like, when I started to look at that, I was shooting a video, actually shooting this video, and I was looking at the video, and in that video, I was talking about being inconsistent and unreliable. And in that moment, I realized, oh my freaking God, like, who I have become is the leaders that my parents were, which is inconsistent, unreliable, not dependable. And it's crazy because what I made their leadership mean back then was that they didn't love me. Because if they loved me, then they would have been present, they would have been there. And so I've like created this whole life around love, being the love, support, and connection that I never got. Not realizing that on the flip side of that, while I was so focusing on love, I didn't even get that. Hold up, wait a minute. I needed leadership. And so, who I have been being to myself when it comes to leadership is inconsistent, unreliable, and just basically not present. And I'm seeing in so many relationships, my first, like the first thing I do is I abandon myself for the sake of others. I abandon myself for love. And the craziest thing about it is that's not even love. Because if I'm abandoning me in the name of love for others, who's loving me? So yeah, y'all. And I'm sure there's so much more inside of this, but yeah, like I'm realizing that love without leadership is a loss. And until you go back and distinguish what the relationships that you have to leadership, it's almost like that relationship to leadership is going to sabotage everything that you set out to do in the background, not intentionally. It's a conversation that you were born into that had nothing to do with you. And now that I'm really seeing this, like, oh my God, like now I can see why, you know, I start things and don't finish them. Now I can see why I'm like, I used to call myself the startup queen because I'm really good at birthing things and starting things, but you can't count on me to take it all the way. Like that's just not what I do. And now I'm realizing that was so inauthentic, but it was how I learned how to deal with the lack of presence in my life as a kid. And I'm just at a point in my life where I'm no longer committed to a lack of presence. I'm no longer committed to being in relationships where there is a lack of presence. And that starts with me noticing the ways that I'm not present with myself, me noticing the ways that I abandon myself. How can you enforce on another person something that you're not even willing to do or be for yourself? So, so yeah, y'all, I am, all of this is coming out inside of my commitment that this leadership program is going to be like world class. And I am declaring that, it's going to change the world. So, so yeah, so that is my video for the biggest lesson of 2025. And I'm probably going to be talking 2026. I'm going to be talking about this um because it's a big thing in the world. Like you see leaders that e- they're either love without leadership, right? And the decisions that they make, it's like, why would you do that? Like that didn't make sense. Or they're on the other side where they're leadership without love and there's no compassion and no empathy for people or for humanity. And neither really work. They're on two opposite ends of the spectrum. But what would it look like if you could actually have love and leadership? What would it look like to be an embodied love and leadership, like a leader embodying love and leadership? And so yeah, that's the inquiry that I'm in, and that's the commitment that I am to myself, um, is to being the love and the leader that I needed as a kid, and also being that for the world. So that's my video, y'all. I love y'all, and I will talk to you later.